Tracking, alerting, protecting. This is WKYT News at Noon.
Charges have been filed against the 4 football players who police say were involved in Sunday night's BB gun scare at UK's campus.
A recently retired Lexington firefighter is killed in a motorcycle accident in Bourbon County.
A lot of sunshine once again today. The biggest difference from today than the past couple of days is the warmth. I mean, we'll be in the mid-80s this afternoon. Then we drop at about 30 degrees in 48 hours. Big time cold front. I'll talk all about that when you can expect that cold air coming on in just a few minutes. WKYT News at Noon starts right now.
Good afternoon from WKYT News. I'm Bill Bryant.
And I'm Barbara Bailey. We begin with a story we've been following all week. Charges have officially been filed against 4 UK football players for Sunday's gun incident on the UK campus.
Dorian Baker, Drew Barker, Tamiri DuBose, and Stanley Boom Williams are now charged with disorderly conduct. And they are also suspended for Saturday's game against South Carolina. WKYT's Sean Moody has the latest. It's our top story at noon. Sean?
According to court documents here at Fayette District Court, each of those players faces a charge of disorderly conduct. Second, police say a game of manhunt led to the incident. According to the documents, police say 7 friends, including the 4 players, decided to play a game of manhunt with 4 airsoft BB guns Sunday night. They say the group planned to chase each other around and shoot each other with those BB guns. According to the documents, police say Tamiri DuBose fired a shot from his BB gun into the air to make sure it was working, and that he saw someone take off running after the shot. That's when police said the group decided to split up and leave the area. Police said the 4 players got rid of their BB guns after they found out police were responding. Now, police searched the area for a couple of hours that night and told students to stay inside while they looked for a possible shooter. According to the court documents, police say all 7 people involved came forward the next day and admitted being the people involved in the incident. Drew Barker, Stanley Williams, Tamiri DuBose, and Dorian Baker are all charged with disorderly conduct second, and they're suspended from Kentucky's game against South Carolina on Saturday. And the 4 are due in court October 28th. In Lexington, Sean Moody, WKYT.
Sean, thank you. And Coach Mark Stoops said that the 4 will also face internal team discipline.
Central Kentucky fire crews are mourning the death of a retired Lexington firefighter who was killed in a motorcycle crash. Investigators say 54-year-old Tim Claggett lost control of his bike last night near Middletown in Bourbon County. He died at the scene. WKYT's Whitney Wetzel has reaction from his former co-workers. Whitney?
Investigators say a recently retired firefighter was riding his motorcycle on this Bourbon County back road when he lost control and another vehicle hit him.
The natural high around the stations and stuff is not there today.
The Bourbon County coroner confirms former Lexington firefighter Tim Claggett died in a motorcycle crash yesterday. Investigators say Claggett lost control of his bike on Thatcher's Mill Road close to North Middletown. That's when an oncoming car hit him. Claggett had just retired from the Lexington Fire Department in 2012. He worked there for 25 years. The last 8 of those years he spent working at Station 20. Claggett's fellow firefighters say he was the station cook and was known for loving to ride his motorcycle.
We used to joke with him about his old motorcycle because it looked like Prince from Purple Rain. So he'd pull in the parking lot and we'd say, "Hey Prince," you know, because it was hilarious. But he always took it well. He was always very good natured.
Claggett retired as a lieutenant with the Lexington Fire Department. He was 54 years old. In Bourbon County, Whitney Wetzel, WKYT.
Now, Claggett leaves behind his wife, 3 sons, a daughter, and a grandchild. His funeral arrangements are still pending. Lexington police are trying to figure out what led up to a man being hurt while picketing. Officers were called to Bluegrass Station around 6 o'clock this morning after reports of a man being hit by a car. But we've learned the man actually ran into the car that was not moving. He was taken to the hospital with minor injuries. About 170 people have been on strike since Tuesday. A union spokesman says they're picketing over unfair labor practices and proposed pay cuts. Well, today is our last day of summer-like weather before it finally starts to feel like fall here in the Bluegrass. And that means some big changes in our weekend forecast. WKYT meteorologist Micah Harris is live in our First Alert Weather Center now with a look ahead. Micah.
Yeah, we are seeing a lot of sunshine and, like you said, last chance to actually taste in that fall feel outside. And it's our summer air, I should say. And it's going to feel like fall the next several days. So go ahead, soak it all in while you can. It's a beautiful day once again. Things you could get done throughout the week. Unfortunately, we haven't had much rain to actually get our grass growing. The rain is on its way, and we're looking for temperatures outside right now. Upper 70s southern bluegrass, lower 80s northern bluegrass. We'll finish off in the mid 80s for most of us today. This is going to be a warm one in store. Let's go throughout the next 24 hours. We're right there at about 85 degrees this afternoon. Going to the night, around midnight, a few showers kind of move on in the western zones. That's when you start to see the rain really pick up tomorrow. And that could be a washout for some of our events. Going in toward the weekend, it clears out, but man, does it get cold. And I'll show you how cold we get coming up.
All right, Micah, thank you. We'll see you in just a little bit. Well, that campaign trail is heating up. Former Democratic President Bill Clinton is telling Kentucky voters to send Allison Lundergan Grimes to the U.S. Senate in a new ad for the Senate candidate. The Grimes campaign released the ad featuring portions of Clinton's speech during a recent campaign event in Hazard earlier in the year. Clinton says Grimes will give the middle class a chance to give their kids a decent life. A spokeswoman for the Republican Senator Mitch McConnell campaign says the ad is evidence that Grimes hopes celebrity endorsements will hide her support for President Obama's agenda. Grimes describes herself as a Clinton Democrat. Meanwhile, former presidential candidate and Massachusetts Governor Mitt Romney will be stumping for Senator McConnell in Lexington later today. He'll be joining the Senate Minority Leader at Donnemeyer Farm this evening. The event on Old Frankfort Pike starts at 7:30. Romney won Kentucky in 2012 with 60% of the vote. The general election for U.S. Senate will be held November 4th, and the last day to register, by the way, to vote in Kentucky is this coming Monday. Well, drivers who travel one of Lexington's busiest roads got some good news this morning. The Clays Mill expansion is now finally complete.
The road widening project caused delays on several crashes over the past 2 years. WKYT's Rebecca Smith has reaction from this morning's ribbon-cutting ceremony. Rebecca.
The hope is that traffic troubles will be reduced with the addition of lanes, retaining walls, sidewalks here at the corridor of Man-O-War and Clays Mill.
Crews have been working on the project since 2012. They've added bike lanes, turn lanes, and have widened sidewalks to fix safety issues and alleviate heavy traffic between Harrodsburg Road and Twain Ridge. Between 15,000 to 20,000 vehicles travel the road a day, but that could jump to 25,000 vehicles by the year 2020. Neighbors say it's a sign of progress, especially with the addition of turn lanes.
My wife, coming from the grocery store, was rear-ended twice trying to turn into our driveway before this was completed. Even with the brake lights on and the turn signal on, somebody rear-ended her. So now with the turn lane, we don't have to worry about that.
The next phase, the widening of Keithshire to Waco. That's expected to occur in the spring of next year. In Lexington, Rebecca Smith, WKYT.
And the area has also experienced a large number of accidents, 363 in a 21-month period. Well, nearly 24 World War II and Korean War veterans are on their way now to Washington, D.C. The veterans left from Louisville this morning on an honor flight. They'll enjoy a full day of honors and sightseeing in our nation's capital. WKYT's Phil Pendleton is traveling with the group. He'll be reporting on their special trip throughout the day here on WKYT. Well, General Motors says a new high-performance version of the Chevrolet Corvette can go from 0 to 60 in under 3 seconds.
That'll get you going. The 2015 Corvette Z06 is the fastest car that General Motors has ever made. The company says it can reach 127 miles per hour and finish a quarter mile in under 11 seconds. The Z06 that achieved the time has an 8-speed automatic transmission with paddle shifters and a supercharged V8 engine that puts out 650 horsepower. The Z06 goes on sale early next year. It will cost just shy of $80,000. But here's a bragging point. It will be made at the Corvette plant in Bowling Green, right here in Kentucky. Sharp-looking car.
Absolutely. And fast.
Right. Well, the first diagnosed case of Ebola has many worried that this may only be the beginning here in the U.S.
Find out how the CDC is trying to calm concerns next on Kentucky's #1 Midday News.
And also ahead, we're learning some new information about the arrest of Olympic swimmer Michael Phelps. Those details from his arrest report coming up on WKYT News at noon. Welcome back to WKYT News at noon. There are growing concerns about the deadly Ebola virus in Texas today.
Health officials say the patient in Texas was in contact with about 18 people, and those people had contact with about 80 others. Marley Hall is in Dallas now with the latest.
The number of people in Texas potentially exposed to Ebola keeps growing. The Centers for Disease Control and Prevention is monitoring as many as 18 people who had contact with Ebola patient Thomas Eric Duncan in recent weeks. Dallas health officials say those people have had contact with about 80 others. 5 children are among those who had direct contact with the patient. The 3 paramedics who treated Duncan are in isolation as a precaution. 4 of Duncan's family members have been ordered to stay home and not have visitors. Duncan was sent home from the emergency room at this hospital last Friday, even though he had told a nurse he recently traveled from West Africa. He was admitted 2 days later. Duncan is from Liberia. The New York Times reports he apparently got the virus helping a pregnant Ebola patient 4 days before flying to the United States. Meanwhile, another patient who recently visited West Africa is being kept in isolation at a Honolulu hospital after being tested for Ebola. It could be days before doctors know for sure if he has the virus. Marley Hall, CBS News, Dallas.
United Airlines confirms Duncan flew to the U.S. on 2 different flights. The CDC says there's no risk of transmission on any of Duncan's flights because he was not having symptoms yet. Meanwhile, 2 patients with Ebola-like symptoms were recently quarantined in Kentucky. The Herald Leader reports that within the last 5 months, the patients were questioned about their trips to Liberia. They were kept in isolation at the University of Kentucky Hospital while health leaders contacted infectious disease specialists. Neither patient had the deadly virus. 60 airmen from Kentucky Air National Guard are leaving for Senegal this afternoon to establish cargo processing hub in support of the Ebola battle in West Africa.
The U.S. Secret Service has a new leader this afternoon following the resignation of its former director. Julia Pearson stepped down yesterday after a string of security lapses, including an incident last month in which a man carrying a knife made it all the way into the East Room of the White House. She also failed to tell the president that a security contractor with a criminal record was armed with a gun on an elevator with him in Atlanta. Retired Secret Service agent Joseph Clancy will now lead the agency, at least temporarily, until a permanent replacement is named. President Obama is switching his focus to the economy this afternoon during a speech at Northwestern University. That speech is designed to let voters know that he has not forgotten about the financial struggles, despite weeks of being consumed by the global crises going on. A CNN poll out this week finds 2/3 of Americans say the economy will be their top issue when deciding their votes for Congress. Some new details are emerging about Michael Phelps' DUI arrest.
A court document showed that the Olympic swimmer was going 84 miles per hour in a 45-mile-per-hour zone when he was pulled over in Baltimore early Tuesday. Authorities say he blew a 0.14% on his blood alcohol test, nearly double the limit in Maryland of 0.08. Police say his eyes were bloodshot, his speech was slurred, and when Phelps was asked to do a one-leg stand, he replied, quote, "That's not happening." Phelps will be back in court next month. Well, it's a girl for new parents Ashton Kutcher and Mila Kunis. The couple welcomed their first child Tuesday at a hospital in Los Angeles. A source confirms the baby is happy and healthy. Kunis and Kutcher met on the set of the 70s show. They started dating back in 2012 and got engaged back in February of this year. Kunis recently said she's excited about being a full-time mom and that she plans to take a year off from acting. She's currently the face of Kentucky's own Jim Beam. Maybe the pair will celebrate their new addition with a glass of bourbon when you consider that.
Well, we'll see. A Lexington man accused of stalking and terroristic threatening was back in front of a judge this morning.
We'll have the latest on the James Caldwell case coming up on WKYT News at 12:30.